I know it was just reported that KD said nobody can recruit me. I want to make as much money as possible in free agency. But him saying that is not going to stop me from making this video because one, KD is a flip-flopper. He says one thing and then it's the next, and it hasn't seemed like he found himself yet. But last week I released a video on 4 reasons why Kevin Durant should sign with the Toronto Raptors in the offseason. And if you haven't seen that video, click on the card at the top that just popped up on the screen to watch that video. And in this video, I'm going to be bringing you 4 more reasons why Kevin Durant should sign with the Toronto Raptors in the offseason, which is part 2 of the previous video. But before I get into the video, I'd like to shout out Frazier Deacon and Raptors Clutch Hoops. Thanks for the support. I really appreciate it. And whoever wants a shout out in future videos, let me know in the comment section below. And if you are new to my channel and not subscribed, make sure to subscribe because I drop basketball videos and I cover different topics of the NBA. And like I always say, once again, it's Third Eye View 195 coming at you with another video. Stay tuned.
Hey, sell it for free. Put no prices on that body, sell it for free. Hey, sell it for free. Girl, you know that body prices, sell it for free.
Number 1, KD has no kids. The fact that KD has no kids, it's easy on him because if he decided to come to Toronto, he doesn't have to worry about getting his kids across the border. Plus, he doesn't have to go around and try to find the best place for his kids to live. And not even just living arrangements, having to worry about finding the best school for them to go to as well. It's a great feeling to have kids with your girlfriend or wife and to have that strong family structure, especially when you are a father and your kids are well taken care of because you are doing your fatherly duties. But at the same time, kids can be stressful as well. And there's so much that you have to do outside of your career to make sure that your kids are well taken care of, especially when a kid is a couple of months old. I have 2 nieces, and trust me when I say this, kids can be stressful, but kids are cute and a pride of joy at the same time. I'm not saying not to have any kids, because I definitely plan on having some in the future when I'm established. I'm just saying, that's the freedom that KD has though. He can go out to wherever he wants to go at any time, for example, to a party, a club, a concert, and more. He also doesn't have to worry about when to come home to his kids and waking up in the middle of the night to feed his baby and changing diapers and all that stuff. And he can focus on basketball, including rest, without kids getting in the way. Number 2, the LeBron effect. What I mean by the LeBron effect is this. Let's go back in time. LeBron made it to the finals for the first time in his career back in 2007 when he was 22 years of age. But unfortunately, the Cleveland Cavaliers were no match to the fully loaded San Antonio Spurs squad that had the big 3 of Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker in their primes with a very good supporting cast. And the Cavaliers got swept 4-0. This was the first sweep in the NBA Finals at that time since the 2002 NBA Finals when the Shaq and Kobe Lakers went up against the Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin Nets with players like Kerry Kittles and Keith Van Horn, and the Lakers still ended up sweeping the Nets. Then in the 2008 playoffs, the Cavaliers would lose to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference semifinals in 7 games, who would go on to win the 2008 NBA championship against the Lakers in the finals with the big 3 of Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. Then in the 2009 playoffs, the Cavaliers would go on to lose to the Orlando Magic in 6 games in the Eastern Conference finals when Dwight Howard was in his prime. Then in the 2010 playoffs, the Cavaliers would go on to lose to the Boston Celtics again in the Eastern Conference semifinals in 6 games. And after that season, which was the 2009-10 season, LeBron became an unrestricted free agent and decided to sign with the Miami Heat on national TV. And this was when the big 3 of Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron was formed. And since that time, LeBron kept going to the NBA Finals. LeBron made it to the NBA Finals with the Miami Heat 4 straight times and ended up winning back-to-back championships in 2012 and in 2013, and even without Bosh and Wade, when LeBron decided to go back to Cleveland back in 2014 after he opted out of his contract in Miami and became an unrestricted free agent, he also appeared in the NBA Finals for 4 straight years in Cleveland as well, including earlier on this year, and ended up winning a ring out of the 4 times with Cleveland back in 2016 after coming back from a 3-1 deficit against the Golden State Warriors. And that's the first time in NBA history that a team has come back from from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals. Just take that in. LeBron went to the NBA Finals in 8 straight years, and that's what the LeBron effect is. Any team that LeBron was on after the year 2010, the team went to the finals in the Eastern Conference, and that's the same effect that I think that Kevin Durant can have if he joins the Toronto Raptors in the East. Because first of all, LeBron is not in the East anymore, and I personally believe, in my opinion, that Kevin Durant is the second best player in the NBA. And this is a comparison that has been going on since 2012. Who is better, LeBron or KD? Way before KD's Golden State days. Just imagine KD with Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Norman Powell, DeLon Wright, and Fred VanVleet. That would be really good because the Raptors' young core would have more experience and freedom under their belts. Plus, they don't just have experience for the regular season, they have experience in the playoffs as well. Pascal Siakam has been to the playoffs twice already. Fred VanVleet has been to the playoffs twice as well. OG Anunoby has been to the playoffs once and will be for the second time in his career when the Raptors make it to the playoffs again after this regular season. DeLon Wright has been to the playoffs 3 times, and Norman Powell has been to the playoffs 3 times as well. So the young core knows what it takes to make a team successful and win to make it to the playoffs and to be successful in the playoffs, because all of them had been past the first round of the playoffs. So KD would be coming to something that's built already, not in the process of being built, or you can say rebuilding or building. And KD is not like LeBron. He can fit any system known as style of play. He doesn't come with a system like LeBron does. And this is why LeBron can come off as being toxic, because he wants things his way, and if it's not his way, it's the highway. And I also think that all of these young players will end up staying in Toronto. I'm not going to go into depth about why I think that, because I talked about that in part 1. Number 3, the Raptors versus the Clippers versus the Knicks, and the Knicks versus the Warriors. By the looks of it, the media's trying to push Durant to the Clippers or the Knicks, but mainly the Knicks. Don't get me wrong, he can end up on any of these teams, but he can also stay with the Warriors as well, because the scary thing about it is that comment that he made about all the All-Stars on Golden State, from Steph to Draymond to Klay and himself, having statues outside of the Warriors' new Chase Arena. This can be a hint that he might stay with the Golden State Warriors, so people's dream of him leaving Golden State can get shattered this upcoming offseason. And we know that Washington is out of the picture, and the Lakers, which I talked about in part 1 as well. But let's look at it from a standpoint that KD is leaving Golden State. And this is no disrespect to New York. I have respect for different teams in different cities and their fans as well. But I do agree that New York has enough cap space to sign 2 stars in the offseason, and the Raptors don't have any cap space. But other than that, there's nothing else that New York has to offer in terms of basketball. New York is a nice city. It's nicknamed the Big Apple for a reason. But to be honest, Toronto is just as nice as New York is. You can do the same thing in Toronto that you can do in New York. And in both cities, it snows. Plus, the Raptors' young core is more established, and like I said before, they have more playoff experience, and they are not injury prone. If you look at the New York Knicks' best young player, Kristaps Porzingis, he tore his left ACL last season, and most basketball players never come back the same from that injury. So based off of this, KD should question going to the Knicks in the first place. Just look at the Knicks roster right now. That's not better than what the Raptors have to offer. It's filled with a bunch of young players that have no experience and in the playoffs as well, and the Knicks haven't been to the playoffs in 5 years, and definitely won't be making it to the playoffs next year, which will be 6 consecutive years that the Knicks missed the playoffs. It's the same thing with the LA Clippers in terms of cap space. They have the cap space to sign 2 stars this upcoming offseason, and California always has warm weather. There's no winter in California, but other than that, they have nothing better to offer to KD than the Raptors in terms of basketball, in my opinion. Just look at the roster and tell me who has more potential to be a championship contender in the future. And the LA Clippers just don't have a great history. Even Mike told you that. But I will admit this, things can change come trade deadline time and in the offseason as well. No one knows what's going to happen. We can only speculate. But trust me when I say this, as long as Masai Ujiri is our president, the Raptors will definitely be in a great position. Number 4, East versus West. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you take it in, KD subconsciously loves playing in Toronto, because back in the 2013-14 season, which was the season that he won the MVP award, on March the 21st, he scored 51 points in a double overtime win against the Raptors when he was on OKC, and the score was 119-118. And then last month on November the 29th, this season, he scored 51 points again against the Raptors. But the difference between the last time he scored 51 points against the Raptors a few years ago is that the game never went into double overtime like when he was on OKC. It went into overtime. And another difference is that KD is on a different team now, and the team that he's on lost. The Golden State Warriors lost to the Raptors 131-128. Also, these are some of the highest scoring games in his career, and he did this twice playing in Toronto against the Raptors. He low-key yearns deep inside to play in Toronto. By KD scoring 51 points, he almost surpassed his career high of 54 points that he set against the Golden State Warriors on January the 17th back in 2014. And the OKC Thunder went on to win that game 127-121 on their home floor. This is also why he should come to Toronto this offseason. Plus, he would be in the East, which is an easier conference, and he wouldn't have to go up against tough teams like OKC, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Lakers, and more. And in the mix, he'd be going up against players like Russell Westbrook, Paul George, LeBron, Stephen Curry, James Harden, and more. Which is why I think that he shouldn't go to a Western Conference team if he were to leave Golden State this offseason. Because look at this, for example. Look at how tough the West is. There's so much legit teams. And then when you compare it to the East, there's only 5 legit teams in the East. And the East is still a weaker conference, even though it got tougher this season. But trust me when I say this, KD would be a king in the East. And another reason why KD shouldn't go to the Knicks is because the fans demand winning, which is not a problem because all fan bases do. But if you don't win down in New York, you'll get scrutinized. If KD came to Toronto and didn't win, it would be a different story. We wouldn't be down his throat as much as a New Yorker would. And KD doesn't take kindly to criticism. But that's it for the video, guys. These are the 4 more reasons why I think that Kevin Durant should sign with the Toronto Raptors in the offseason. And like I always say, please like and subscribe and hit that notification button and comment below. Tell me what you think. Your opinion matters. And follow me on my Twitter and Instagram account. It's the same name as my YouTube channel name. And share this video. Peace!
I eat my French toast, bag a French girl, tell her let's go. Watch me explode like I'm Mentos mixed with that coke. Moving like a groupie, so I back up pronto. Though you a baddie, I'm gonna split my Uber, go get you a taxi.